And now to get some more insight on the budget, we've got with us a panel of guests joining in. So let's go across Ved Jain, Mr. Gopalan, Siddharth, a whole lineup of esteemed panelists to take us through some critical highlights of Budget 22.
Absolutely, Abha, and it's been a long day. And we will, between the Prime Minister's remarks, also now count down to the Finance Minister press conference. But very warm welcome to R. Gopalan, former Secretary of the Department of Economic Affairs and noted tax practitioner and chartered accountant Ved Jain. Mr. Gopalan, I start with you, if you can hear me. Well, before we go to Mr. Gopalan, let's quickly go to Mr. Jain. Mr. Jain, tell us the tax highlight. Is it the 30% tax on cryptos that we should be focused on?
Yes, I believe there's been no change in the tax rate for individual companies and others. The focus in the today's budget, if I see on direct taxes, is only taxing this digital currency, calling this virtual digital assets at 30% with no deduction of any expenditure. And a big announcement that RBI will be coming out with digital Indian rupee currency. So
Mr. Jain, to make it simple for our audience, you've also been the former president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI. The wording of the announcement of the Finance Minister and the actual terminology which is contained in the law is always different. Some people are asking about what it really means. And I'm going to do a rapid fire round with you. Does anyone who buys or sells cryptocurrency on any platform in India now have to pay 30% on the income earned on it?
Yes, you see what they have said it, look into the fact that there is a lack of transparency in these transactions. So what has been said that when you will sell this virtual digital asset, which a currency, when you're selling, whatever the amount you are receiving, that will be taxed at 30%. But if you have a cost of acquisition for that asset, so if you can establish that you have acquired these assets at some value, that will be deducted, and on that 30% you will have to pay. However, no expenditure will be allowed, because people may say that I have incurred expenditure on rent, salary, or any other internet, etc. So no expenditure will be allowed, because there is a memorandum explaining the budget, which has clarified that this is a total amount which will be 30% subject to tax. And any person making any payment will be required to withhold tax at the rate of 1%. So when you are buying any
asset, then Mr. Jain, so therefore, in very simple terms, anyone who is an investor in any form of cryptocurrency currently in India, regardless of the outcome, will bear a tax liability. Am I correct in summarizing it in that manner?
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Siddharth. Absolutely.
Number two, there was another provision which seemed to suggest that losses on this account cannot be set off. Explain that simply to us, because that is not the usual tax treatment for losses.
See, there can be a situation that you have bought a currency, say for 100 rupees, digital cryptocurrency, and you have sold at 80 rupees, so you would have incurred a loss of rupees 20. In the normal circumstances, when you incur any loss, that loss is eligible to be set off against other income, particularly in the same year. So now they say that in case you incur any loss, that loss will not be allowed to be set off against any other income.
Mr. Jain, in your experience, and I certainly think so, sir, this is very unusual. This is almost like a punitive measure. What is the message and signal being given by this additional clause?
I believe that this is basically the government doesn't want to encourage it. On the contrary, they want to discourage that people should not invest. And in order to, because the concern of the government is
Mr. Jain, I want to take these points with you in a rapid fire manner. If the government is wanting to discourage people from investing, then why is it using tax as a blunt force instrument? Why is there no law? Even if you have to ban it, come out with a law.
No, you see, Mr. Sarar, there has to be two things you must keep in mind. See, digital currency is the future. You can't help it out and you cannot get out of it.
Mr. Jain,
you need to regulate it.
The future is rosy for everyone, but why should people live in pain in the present? Who has seen the future?
I do agree, but as on the date, the thought process is that many people are investing in black and many people are not reporting it. So, in case to discourage people to go all out for this type of investment.
Then if you are doing a 30% at the top kind of rate for taxing it, then why are you introducing punitive measures? Because at the same time, and I'm really confused about this, Mr. Jain, that's why I'm asking you this, and I know that there are thousands of youth who have invested in crypto all over India. You are also talking about a sarkari currency, a blockchain-based currency, if you kind of describe it with an adjective, also a cryptocurrency. Now, will the tax treatment of that sarkari currency also be the same, or will Bharat Sarkar and RBI say that will be taxed differently?
I think that will be different. I think once the RBI comes with the Indian digital currency and Indian rupee, that cannot be subject to the same. Frankly speaking, when you have a currency, the currency itself, currency is a medium to carry out the business. So currency per se should not be chargeable to tax. Frankly speaking, if
No, Mr. Jain, I don't know even 1% of the tax that you know, but I'll ask you a question. The rupee is traded as a commodity. A digital currency is traded as a commodity.
Yes.
Then why should there be different classes of taxation? You just suddenly go out and announce this in 2 paras, you throw everybody into a turmoil. You have had years to come out with reasoned, logical, rational laws and regulations and tax treatment clauses. I am completely befuddled as to why it is being done in this ham-handed manner.
See, Siddharth, it is basically the government concern is lack of transparency in the transaction of cryptocurrency. So the assumption is that there is a lack of transparency.
Okay, let's take that point on lack of transparency, Mr. Jain, with Mr. R. Gopalan, who is now with us, former Secretary of Economic Affairs, a veteran of many budgets and policy making. Mr. Gopalan, before we go into broader macro numbers, I want to take this point about crypto up with you. We have had a situation where a law has not been framed. Fair enough, it takes time to frame laws. Laws cannot be made overnight, should not be made overnight. There was supposed to be public consultation, that has not happened. Meanwhile, not just the main door of the house, every single door, window, exhaust, everything is open, allowing cryptocurrency to be traded, exchanged in India. Millions of people are jumping on that bandwagon. A law is not framed because the RBI has a different view. Please tell me what is the fault of those people who have invested. Suddenly you are saying 30%. I don't care about what the platforms will say. Look at it from a policy, rational point of view of the common man of India. Mr. Gopalan, that question was for you, sir.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like this. You see, Siddharth, this is a speculative kind of a gain which people are making. And it is correct to slap a duty of 30% of that nature on speculative money. First, it will reduce the speculation. One, it will also prevent the number of people getting into this, because this is something which has no recourse. Suppose you get into a problem of not getting the money back or something, there is no recourse for you to get this legal recourse for you available in the country.
Sir, but so there is no law. Mr. Gopalan, please allow me to interrupt you, because I want to make it easy for all viewers. There is no law. I don't make law. You have been a former lawmaker. Mr. Ved Jain has contributed to thousands and thousands of taxation clauses. Why is there no law?
No, the law is coming. The question is, it will take some time for the law
to before the law, before reasoned judgment, before parliamentary debate, we go ahead and decide 30% plus a punitive clause saying if you have losses, you cannot set them off, which is available in every other tax statute. I simply don't get it. And if people would perhaps think that I have any vested interest, me, my family, my near and dear, far friends also perhaps don't have crypto. So that's a disclosure. Mr. Gopalan, I am really worried that in the India of 2022, we are not able to do reasoned policy making on cryptocurrencies.
Siddharth, let me explain. if you give me about a couple of minutes. Okay, this is purely a speculative one on which law is yet to be formed. Until the law is yet to be formed, you don't have any recourse for the citizens.
So ban it, no, sir. Sir, ban it. If TikTok can be banned, Mr. Gopalan, if TikTok can be banned, why not cryptocurrencies?
No, you see, banning is something which is which will drive it underground. Therefore, it is not advisable to ban it at this point in time. Okay, allow that to go, and there will be some amount of control by taxation measures to know that people are able to discourage to get into this. But if people really want to take this beyond that, and also play for higher taxation, they can get into it. So a select set of people will get into it. Therefore, there is nothing wrong until the law is framed. Nothing wrong in having it. Second.
Yes, sir. Quickly, sir. I have other guests, and the finance minister will also be speaking shortly, sir.
Yeah. As far as the other one is, the central bank's cryptocurrency is concerned, that is a way of, RBI controlling the way through, various transactions, ledgers, multiple ledgers. We are able to understand that the transactions are traced, and money is almost like a electronic currency. So that is different from the cryptocurrency, which is Dogecoin and those kind of cryptocurrencies which are going in. They are totally different. So these two are two different entities.
Okay, those are points that perhaps need a more reasoned debate. And thank you for bearing with me, Mr. Jain and Mr. Gopalan.
Siddharth, can I answer this question?
Yes, sir. Quickly, sir. My colleague Abba Bakai is also here. We have other guests.
Only quick answer is the present thought process is it is just like a prize winning or a gambling like, the horse trading like or horse winning race, etc. Because the same are also taxed in the same manner. So in case you have a horse winning race or a prize or a gambling like this, though there is a tax of 30% with no adjustment of losses being allowed. So I believe the thought process is whosoever is investing and doing in cryptocurrency just like a gambling. That's
I'm glad, Mr. Jain, and I thank you for that. And your expertise on this subject comes through that comment, because now I understand the policy approach, the tax policy approach to this. You are saying that, and Abba, this is an important point. I've been having this debate with two stellar policy people in our country with regard to 30%, and we have ourselves done stories, and taxation is fine. All cryptocurrency platforms have welcome taxation. At what rate is a matter of debate. But the point about losses not being allowed to set off, and now Mr. Jain has given us clarity that this is therefore an indication that gambling, speculative activity, crypto is being put there. Just like you have sin taxes on alcohol and cigarettes, this is that. Abba, before you take over, I want to go to Mr. Gopalan. Mr. Gopalan, the big debate hours after the budget is trying to look through the expenditure, trying to look through the fiscal deficit projections, and one of the views, and we have Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman flanked by all her secretaries. So she'll start. Mr. Gopalan, very quickly, one quick comment on the fiscal deficit and the expenditure allocations before we start.
Both revenue and expenditure the buoyancy for tax collection has been shown to be 0.86 against 1.2 of last year, or this year, current year. For the next year, it is 0.86. So I have a feeling both revenue and expenditure are under projected. Number one.
Under projection.
Because under projected, both of them are under projected, and you will find that programs like NREGA, like Fasal Bima Yojana, PM Kisan, and look at all of them. They are just like this year's projection, which is much less. Look at NREGA; it has gone down significantly. So I have a feeling this expenditure that are under projected. They have to be a little higher. And also subsidies which are coming up are also shown to be a little under projected. They also may increase if the petroleum prices.
Okay, that's a good headline, Mr. Gopalan. Nirmala ji is being introduced. We'll wait for her to actually start speaking.